What started as a heated hip-hop debate on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast just spiraled into something way deeper, and fans are absolutely losing it. Jim Jones, known for never biting his tongue, took a sharp left during the show and went all in on Nas, questioning his legacy, downplaying his impact, and even calling him overrated for years. But what shocked everyone wasn't just what Jim said. It was who responded within hours. 50 Cent, yes, Stir, get rich or die trying himself, took to Instagram with a post that exploded across the timeline. No captions, no hashtags. Just a photo of Nas with the words, "Never disrespect a king." And from that moment, all hell broke loose in the hip-hop community. DMs leaked, industry insiders dropped receipts, and now we're looking at a full-blown war of respect, loyalty, and deep-seated history. And this ain't just rap beef, it's personal. Because behind the scenes, 50 and Nas have shared quiet moments most fans never knew about. And Jim? Let's just say some folks think this was never about Nas at all. Buckle up. Because what's unfolding now might just reshape how we view some of hip-hop's most iconic friendships and betrayals. The moment Jim Jones sat down across from Shannon Sharpe, folks already knew it wasn't going to be your average interview. The man came in with a chip on his shoulder and a smirk that screamed, "I got something to say." But no one, not even Shannon, was ready for the sheer disrespect that came out of Jim's mouth when Nas' name was brought up. It started casually. Shannon asked a question about lyricism in hip-hop. "Who you got in your top 5 lyrical geniuses?" he asked. Jim leaned back, took a deep breath, and said names like Jadakiss, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne. But when Shannon mentioned Nas, Jim laughed, and not a light chuckle. No, it was that deep. Dismissive kind of laugh that lets everybody know this man ain't joking, Nas. Jim repeated, "Okay, man, y'all still talking about Nas like it's 2001? Yeah, he had Illmatic, but that was decades ago. Y'all stuck in nostalgia? Ain't relevant like that no more." Fans watching were stunned. You could almost feel the tension through the screen. Shannon, clearly caught off guard, tried to steer it back. "You? Sure. He just dropped 5 albums with Hit Boy." Jim doubled down. "Nah, I ain't taking nothing from his pen back then. But let's not pretend he's still got the culture like that. Nas don't run this era. He's a legend. Yeah, but that don't mean he above critique." And just like that, the internet exploded. Within minutes, hip-hop Twitter was in shambles. Fans defending Nas, pulling receipts, screenshots of streaming numbers, Grammy wins, lyrical breakdowns. Jim's name started trending, but not the way he expected. And in the middle of that chaos, without warning, a silent shot was fired. 50 Cent posted to his Instagram. It was a black and white picture of Nas standing in front of the Queensbridge. Houses, no caption, no emojis, just the image. And the words superimposed in bold, "Never disrespect a king." That post. It hit like a sledgehammer. Within the hour, it had over 800,000 likes. And that wasn't the end of it. People started going deep. Old interviews surfaced of 50 talking about Nas. Clips from 2002 when 50 was just breaking out, calling Nas one of his inspirations. Behind-the-scenes stories from producers saying Nas gave 50 advice during his early mixtape days. Suddenly, people realized this wasn't just hip-hop politics. This was personal loyalty. What fans didn't know? 50 and Nas have history. Not the public, flashy kind, the private, real kind. The type of bond forged when the cameras aren't rolling. An insider close to G-Unit revealed that back in the early 2000s, when 50 was still blackballed by the industry after his shooting and labels were afraid to touch him, Nas allegedly reached out quietly, offering connections, studio time, and just respect. Nas didn't do it for clout, the insider said. He did it because he saw potential. He respected 50's hustle. And 50 never forgot that. So when Jim Jones took aim at Nas, even if indirectly, it triggered something in 50. And he wasn't the only one. Rap veterans began chiming in. Bun B posted a throwback pic with Nas, captioned, "Real ones recognize real ones." Q-Tip tweeted a cryptic legacy, "Don't fade." Even Black Thought reposted a clip of Nas performing with the caption, "Still sharper than most." But it didn't stop there, Jim. Seeing the backlash, decided to double down again. He went live on Instagram, shirt off, cig lit, voice all ready, fired up. "Look, I said what I said." He told over 40,000 live viewers. "I ain't hating, I just speak the truth. Y'all act like I called the man trash. I didn't. I just said he don't move the needle no more. And that's facts." Comments were flying, some agreeing. Most roasting. One fan wrote, "Bro, how you gonna diss a man that literally wrote the Bible of East Coast rap?" Another added, "This ain't even about Nas anymore. You just sound salty." But the real bomb dropped when 50 joined the live silent for the first 30 seconds. Just watching. And then he typed, "Watch your tone. Queens, don't forget." The comment blew up instantly. Fans screen recorded it before Jim even noticed. And when he did, he ended the live. Just like that, everyone knew something had changed. This wasn't just social media noise anymore, it was becoming real. What made it crazier? Someone from Jim's own camp leaked a text thread allegedly showing Jim trying to reach out to 50 privately. Double quotes, "Yo, big bro," the message read. "Wasn't trying to disrespect. It's hip-hop talk. Let's not let the net twist it." But 50 didn't respond. At least, not publicly. Instead, the next day, he posted a clip of Nas performing verbal intercourse with Raekwon and Ghostface. The caption read, "If you know, you know." Meanwhile, behind the scenes, things were heating up even more. Shannon Sharpe's team was reportedly flooded with requests from artists, reps, publicists, all trying to get a seat to respond or clarify. Everyone wanted in. On the moment. But Shannon. He stayed quiet. Until that Friday, he dropped a follow-up reel with the caption, "This ain't over." And fans started wondering. Did Shannon know this was gonna blow up? Did he set Jim up? Was this part of a bigger conversation? Because suddenly, Nas himself was trending again. Not for controversy, but for legacy. New fans were diving into old albums. Old fans were rewatching interviews. Hip-hop blogs started posting Why Nas Matters, retrospectives, and the energy shifted. This was no longer about one rapper dissing another. It was about how the culture protects its pillars. And right now, 50 was the loudest voice defending that foundation. But as the days passed, another voice entered the conversation. And this time wasn't just about music. It was about loyalty, pain, and betrayal from someone fans never expected, because the next twist was personal. When the internet caught wind that someone close to Nas was about to speak out, people held their breath. Names were flying left and right. Fans thought it might be Jungle, Nas's brother, or maybe even Hit Boy, who's been his right-hand man for the last few years. But no, the person who stepped into the storm wasn't even a rapper. It was Kelis. Yup, Nas's ex-wife. The same Kelis who'd stayed mostly quiet about hip-hop matters for years. She posted a single tweet, no image, no fluff. Just 8 words that sent shockwaves through every corner of hip-hop Twitter. "You don't kick a king when he's healing." Immediately, timelines lit up. Kelis, who had her own complicated history with Nas, was now defending him. Fans were confused, touched, and straight up speechless. Some thought she was being shady. Others said she finally put respect where it belonged. But behind the scenes, it wasn't just an emotional moment, it was strategic. Because according to a close friend of Nas who spoke anonymously, Kelis and Nas had recently reconciled. Not romantically, but emotionally. After years of distance and headlines, they'd come together for their son's birthday and, in the words of the insider, had a long overdue conversation. Nas has been through so much in silence. The source shared, and Kelis saw. It She might not rock with him the way she used to, but she knows he ain't the man people try to drag anymore. So now with Kellis weighing in, fans were doubling down. Team Nez became more than a hashtag. It became a movement. And Jim Jones, he was spiraling. A leaked screenshot from his group chat made things worse. It showed Jim typing, "I should've never gone on that damn show," followed by a few fire emojis and 50 gonna use this for a whole album rollout. Suddenly, the narrative was slipping out of Jim's hands. The media wasn't just calling this a beef anymore, they were calling it a misstep. Blogs posted headlines like "Jim Jones plays himself on national stage and when keeping it real goes wrong. The NAS disrespect backlash." But it got even messier when Fat Joe chimed in. During an Instagram live, Joe didn't hold back. "Let me tell you something, man. I came up with both them cats, Nas. That's the god, Jim. That's my brother. But you don't get on no national platform and act like one of the pillars of hip-hop didn't shape this game. Especially not when that man just gave us 5 classics. Back to back. That's not how you talk about legacy. That's not hip-hop. That's clout chasing." The clip went viral in seconds, and while Jim was trying to lay low, 50 wasn't done talking. This time, he went live with a grin that said, "I told you so." 50 pulled up a chair and began roasting Jim in typical 50 fashion, no mercy. "Full petty look, Jim, my guy," he said, half smiling. "But you can't be sipping that yak on someone's couch and decide to rewrite history. Nas ain't just relevant. He's essential. Y'all better start showing love while these legends are still breathing." But the part that got everyone shook, when 50 said, "What Jim don't realize is, Nas was there for me before anyone else. And he ain't do it loud. He ain't tweet it. He ain't post it. Okay? He just pulled up, said what needed to be said, and disappeared. I owe him." That word, "oh," hit different, because in this game, where everyone's always looking for the next viral moment, genuine loyalty is rare. And 50 was showing it in real time. Meanwhile, Nas had still said nothing. No tweet, no video, no public response. Fans were watching, waiting, wondering if he'd even address it. But then came the studio clip. Late Friday night, Hit Boy posted a muted video to his story. No sound, just Nas, in the booth, headphones on, body swaying, hands moving with precision. In the background, fans spotted something wild. A sticky note on the wall that read, "This is personal." That was all it took. Fans lost it, was it? The name of a new track, a response to Jim, a message to the culture. Nobody knew, but it was enough to reignite the storm. And while the blogs were dissecting every frame of that video, something even crazier happened. A previously unreleased freestyle from 2004 surfaced. 50 and Nas going back and forth on a track titled "Queens Never Fold." Nobody knew where it came from. Some said it was an old mixtape cut that never saw the light of day. Others claimed it was intentionally leaked by someone in Nas's camp to remind the world of their shared roots. But the bars, they were vicious. Na spit. "Ain't no love in this industry of smoke and glass They cheer you when you die, but hate you when you pass." And 50 followed up with, "The ones I break bread with be the first twofold. Queensbridge to Southside. Our story been told." Fans were eating it up. Memes exploded. GIFs of 50 sipping tea. Clips of Nas's past interviews where he said he doesn't argue. "I just live." Even the young crowd who weren't around for the early 2000s drama started diving into the archives, realizing that this wasn't just a viral moment. It was history catching up with itself. But just as things were reaching a fever pitch, another twist dropped. Shannon Sharpe dropped a teaser for part 2 of the interview. And in it, a moment that had been cut from the original airing. Jim, sitting forward, lowered his voice and said something that didn't make the final edit. "I think 50 still got beef from back in the day. This ain't about Nas. It's about what didn't happen in 05. What did he mean? What didn't happen in 2005? Fans immediately started digging old interviews, gossip blogs, beef timelines, and what they found might just be the real reason why this whole thing started. The internet was now working overtime. Fans were deep in their detective bags, connecting every dot they could find. What happened in 2005 became the biggest question on hip-hop Twitter. TikTok threads popped up, complete with side-by-side interviews, old G-Unit clips, and forgotten mixtape references. People weren't just gossiping, they were investigating. And then someone found it. A grainy video from a 2005 backstage event in Atlanta. The footage, never seen widely before, showed 50 Cent on one side of the room talking to Nas. Dap exchanged cool energy. A few seconds later, Jim Jones walks in with a couple of Dipset members. Everyone goes quiet. Jim walks past. Without acknowledging 50.NAS, looks back at Jim.N50. He stares through him. The tension is thick. No words are spoken, but the vibe is undeniable. This is it, fans started saying. This was the moment. A podcast from 2006 added even more fuel. A former G-Unit road manager had told a now-defunct radio show that Jim Jones was supposed to do a joint project with G-Unit, a Queen's ex-Harlem tape that would have changed the game, but he allegedly backed out at the last second due to personal reasons. The project never happened. Egos clashed. And nothing was ever spoken publicly until now. So when Jim mentioned what didn't happen in '05, it wasn't just a throwaway line, it was a reference. A reference to a deal that soured friendships that cracked. And respect that was never restored. And now 50 had the perfect excuse to let all that buried energy surface on his next IG post. 50 uploaded a photo of an old contract. It was partially blurred, but fans could make out collaborative mixtape and joint tour agreement. His caption, "Some people ain't built for loyalty, and that's fine. But don't speak on kings when you were too scared to sit at the table." It was over. The internet lost it. Blogs titled it, 50 exposes Jim's secret betrayal from 2005. Fans began calling Jim a paper gangster. Reaction videos started pouring in with wild thumbnails, like 50 just ended Jim Jones and Nas versus Jim Jones. This 50's war now. But just as things were getting messy, someone completely unexpected entered the scene. Cam single quotes Ron.Yes. Killer Cam himself, the Harlem Don, the pink for rocking legend, and Jim Jones, longtime brother in bars. Cam had been quiet this whole time. Even as the situation spiraled, he didn't say a word. Until now, on his sports podcast, It Is What It Is. Cam opened the show with a bombshell. "Yo, before we talk about LeBron and Dame, let me say this. 50 and Nas. That's royalty. And I love Jim. That's my brother. But sometimes, truth ain't pretty." The room went silent. Cam continued. "We all know what happened back in the day. Deals that didn't go through. Egos, miscommunication. But one thing you never do is take shots at the people who built this culture. Nas is hip-hop. Period." Boom. Just like that. The Dipset unity the fans always cherished looked. And Jim, he didn't take that lightly. Minutes after Cam's episode dropped, Jim posted a story, just black screen, with the words, "Never thought my own would fold." Fans instantly took sides. Hashtag Team Cam and hashtag Team Jim started trending. The timeline was split: loyalty versus legacy, truth versus ego, Harlem versus history. And in the middle of it all, Nas still said nothing. But that was about to change. Because out of nowhere, almost like a whisper, Nas posted a 13-second snippet of a new track to his stories. No announcement. No build-up. Just bars, watching boys debate legends while they mimic our schemes. You criticize the crown because you never had dreams. Now confused hype with impact? Now look at the stream. No names, no tags. But everyone knew who he was talking about. Even Shannon Sharpe reposted the clip with the caption, he woke up the goat. At this point, the beef had evolved. It wasn't just about a comment on a podcast. It was about how we speak on legends, about the new generation's lack of reverence, about the line between opinion and shade. And behind the scenes. Rumors were. Brewing. Industry insiders claimed that Nas and 50 were now in talks to finally drop a joint EP, a Queensbridge x Southside concept album called Legacy Over Likes. Fans were frothing. One leaked text from a studio engineer even said, "They cooking something that'll shut this whole game down. Okay, Jim?" He was cornered. Even his own fans were like, "Bro, just apologize and move on." Okay. But he COULDN single quotes T. Instead. He did the worst thing possible. He went live again, eyes bloodshot, energy low, no shirt. And a tone fans weren't used to hearing. "Look, I ain't mean for none of this to go that far," Jim said. But the truth is, some of these cats ain't been outside in years. So they ain't built for where we came from. Fans watching cringed. The comment section lit up with clowns and fire emojis. One person typed this, "You?" with a side-by-side of Jim hugging Nas backstage at a 2019 concert. And then, just as the live was peaking, boom! Boom! Ness himself entered the chat. He didn't type anything. He just watched. Viewers saw that little eye icon. It said, "Nezar Jones joined." Jim froze. He stumbled mid-sentence. Yo, shout out to Nas, man. Much respect to the god. Wasn't trying to throw shots for real. Too late. By the time the live ended, it was clear. Nas didn't need to say anything. His silence was the message. But the next day, that silence was broken, and what he said was going to flip the entire situation. Upside down. The internet was practically shaking. After Ness joined Jim Jones live without saying a word, fans couldn't breathe. He pulled a Jay-Z move without even speaking. One fan tweeted, "Just entered the room and let the guilt cook him alive." Others said it felt like a silent warning, a move only someone with true power could pull off. But no one expected what happened next. At exactly 9:23 a.m. the following morning, Nas posted a black and white photo to his main feed. No filters, no edits. It's just him, seated alone in a studio booth. Mic hanging above his head, pen in hand. The caption? Just one word. Clarity. The post racked up 1.2 million likes in under 2 hours. But what shook the game even harder was what he dropped right after, a surprise 2-minute freestyle titled "History Don't Stutter." And it was everything Not Ends didn't raise his voice. He didn't throw direct disses. But he spoke with the kind of controlled intensity that only a king could deliver. He rapped Tales from the Rooftop. Kings move in silence, legends get questioned when they too defiant, but loyalty ain't loud. It's proven through pressure, so watch who shouts and who signs the ledger, the internet froze. Blogs called. It's surgical. Fans flooded comments with, "He addressed everything without naming a soul. And this is grown man rap. They can't touch him." But the real shocker? 50 Cent reposted the freestyle with the caption, "And that's why I ride with him." Every time. Now it was official. This wasn't just about Jim Jones anymore. This was a declaration. Nas and 50 were aligned, and they were standing together. Meanwhile, the industry was spinning. A behind-the-scenes clip leaked from Hot 97 showing Ebro and Rosenberg reacting in real time to the freestyle. Ebro literally said, "Yo, Jim done woke up the wrong generation. Hey." And Pete Rock, one of hip-hop's most respected producers, tweeted, "This how grown men handled disrespect. Art over antics." But just when things looked settled, Jim Jones threw one last curveball. And this one. It split the audience right down the middle. He dropped a song of his own, a gritty, raw track titled Frontlines. And this time, he named names, no metaphors. No poetry, just straight talk. He spit, "They said loyalty, but left me on read. Fake hugs from the legends while I bled. Queen's cats with suits never fed, but I still stood tall while they fled. social media exploded. Some said Jim was being real, that he had every right to tell his truth. Others said it was a desperation move. But the most unexpected response came from someone who hadn't been mentioned once in this whole saga. Jay-Z. That's right, a screenshot leaked from a group chat between .com.com.between. Industry insiders showing Hav reacting with just 3 words. This got messy. Now everyone was asking, why was Jay watching? Was he backing Nas behind the scenes? Was he warning Jim? Hip-hop had officially become chess, and no one was sure who had the next move. But what came next was something no one predicted. A leaked clip surfaced from the upcoming Bet Hip Hop Honors show. And in that clip, Nas and 50 Cent were standing side by side, accepting a surprise award for lifetime contribution to hip-hop storytelling. The crowd's reaction, deafening. But that wasn't even the highlight. The real moment came when 50 stepped to the mic and said, "We ain't here to start no war. But we ain't here to watch legacies get spit on either. So if you've got a problem with that, you know where to find us?" Crowd went crazy. Nas didn't even speak. He just stood there, calm, still, royal. It was the perfect closing scene to a week-long saga that had shifted the entire energy of hip-hop discourse. But behind closed doors, the conversations were even heavier. Because what this whole drama really exposed was something fans had long suspected, but never said out loud. There's a divide in the culture between the loud and the silent, between those who chase clout and those who protect legacy, between viral moments and timeless art. And in the middle of it all are legends like Nas and 50, trying to maintain order in a world now ruled by chaos. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Nas and Jim were spotted in the same restaurant 2 days later. No entourage, no bodyguards, no press. Just the two of them sitting at a corner table in a quiet Soho spot. Talking. What were they saying? No one knows. A fan managed to snap a blurry photo from across the room, and the caption that went viral said it all. Maybe kings argue in public, but they settle like gods. By the end of the week, Jim archived all his previous posts related to the beef. Nas dropped a quiet teaser for a new album, Silence is Sacred, and 50. He went back to trolling on Instagram like nothing ever happened, posting a video of himself eating steak with the caption, "Y'all finished or y'all done?" Classic. But one thing was clear, this wasn't about just music, this was about respect. And no matter how loud the noise got, the real ones understood what mattered most. Legacy, integrity, and the kind of loyalty that speaks louder than any podcast ever could. So now that the smoke has started to clear and the timeline's beginning to cool off, the question remains, who really won? Is Jim Jones speaking from pain, frustration, or something deeper that's been building for years? Did 50 Cent step in purely out of loyalty, or is there more history between him and Nas than we've ever known? And what about that silent dinner between Nas and Jim? Did they settle things behind the scenes, or was it just the calm before another storm? Hip-hop is more than just beats and bars. It's about legacy, loyalty, and the unspoken codes that define greatness. And this entire saga just reminded everybody why certain names still carry weight. From Shannon Sharpe's viral interview, to 50's bold defense, to Nas's surgical freestyle. We've seen egos clash, alliances tighten, fans pick sides like never before. But now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think Jim Jones went too far? Did 50 have every right to step in and defend Nas? And was Nas's quiet response more powerful than any diss track? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything. Hit that like button if you respect the legends who move in silence. And don't forget to subscribe, because this ain't the end, it's just the beginning of a whole new chapter in hip-hop's ongoing saga. Because if this week taught us anything, it's that when the kings speak, the whole world listens. Stay tuned, stay watching, and stay woke, because this story is far from over.